Hello, hello, hello. Everybody hear me okay? All right.
Yes,
Good
I can hear
night.
you fine.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good night, good morning from wherever you are. This is another edition of Slayer's Hot Sauce. And guess what? I am back. Yes, is your girl, Jizzy, me back. All right. And I am happy, 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 happy to be back with my fantastic, esteemed panel that I have missed so much and special guest tonight because you know how we just go with the hot sauce. We cannot talk about things and talk about the things them. And tonight we will be doing it. Tonight's show is a two-part series. We will be having the second part of this show after Trinidad Carnival because we are talking about Soca Monarch tonight, International Soca Monarch, as well as the Marshall Montano One show. So tonight's show is going to be kept an hour. I want you guys to make sure you put your comments, get your 2 cents in. We're going to whet your appetite because we're coming back again for part two after Trinidad Carnival. Now, tonight I am very, very pleased to welcome my panelists, and I will ask them to introduce themselves. So, starting from my bottom right on my screen, as I could see it, is Miss Marsha, Miss Ponderood.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I am Marsha, also known as Miss Pon the Road. So I'm here to give my little 2 pence on what's going on out there in TNT, the Soca Monarch, and all the tea and gossip. Very interesting topic. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you for being here. And to Miss Ponderood's left on my screen is our special guest tonight. I'll let him introduce himself. Golden, please introduce yourself.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, gentlemen. Well, Golden Child from Trinidad and Tobago, soca artist here in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell the people how long you've
Huh?
been on the grind, Golden. People didn't know how long you've been on the grind,
Well,
and so
a
just tell them
long
how
time,
long.
long time. I've been doing this from, boy, school days. Since all
Yeah,
the chanting on the corner, them kind of thing. The original grassroots Trinidad music. In in my generation, I could say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not so long ago, so that we're talking about the
Yeah, yeah,
90s
yeah.
and 2000s. So it that
Yeah.
far back. Now, and ladies and
Yeah, from
gentlemen,
Bungie Garlin and them kind of Bungie Garlin them era.
yes, yes. And for those of you
Yeah.
who don't know, Golden Child had a hit song that he sang with Isaac King called Trinbagonian. One of the biggest tunes coming out of Trinidad and Tobago. And hopefully at some point you guys will be able to listen to it. It's a bad tune. So pick up yourself. Next to Golden on
Bless,
my
bless.
screen is the one and only Super Trini Vibes. Super, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, all. Wherever you represented. Jizzy, good to see you back. You know, you're looking nice and thing. You
Thank
know. Whoa, Dr. Love. Whoa. Good evening to you, Marsha. Miss Ponderood. Good evening. Golden Touch, my brother, from a long time. Good to
Bless
see you
up,
too.
bless up, bless
And
up.
obviously, we got to big up the big boss herself. You know, the big boss. Good evening, Madam Player. Good evening to you too. But everybody out there, good evening. We are going to slay the things tonight. Are you ready? I'm not
you.
here for long, but I'm ready to give all you some road jam right now. Super
Uh-huh.
Trini vibes in here.
Good, good. And we're ready for you too. And before I go any further, I just want to let our viewers know that today is a wee boy birthday. So please, in the comments, so they wish him a happy birthday, Super Trini birthday today. You know, we sending
And
you love and blessings.
I
You
know
know,
what you know this man have one sleeveless like this man in the sunshine.
the man
Don't
is
worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Dedicated.
the man showing
Oh
off on we
God.
showing off on we for your birthday. Next on my
Don't worry, boy.
Next on my screen is the lovely Miss being Lisa Love. Lisa, please introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, Lisa Love, Lisa from the scene, doing my thing, relationship coaching. I'm also in dentistry, so yeah. Happy to be here, as a true Trini to the bone. Proper fan of the soca, proper fan of the carnival, the max, the everything, the bacchanal. So
Yes,
yeah, I'm here for this. Like it's
we
nice to see
ready. We
you
ready.
looking
And Olia,
spectacular in the corner there, Giselle. Hey, nice to
let
have you
me, let me tell Olia a secret. She's a big Marshall fan. Okay, moving on.
Why she so? Don't study back in her. Don't
Wow,
study back in her.
Let's
fast.
start it
Let me
back.
talk to it.
Start it
You just
right
want
now.
Let
to
them catch up.
and last but not least is our great
Oh,
producer, the
nine nine.
producer
Now
at
you're
the
looking
brains
nice in the
behind.
corner.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I just introducing the brains behind Carnival's players and players hot sauce. Our producer, Miss N.Wilson.
Hello, everyone. Oh gosh, you have my whole government name out there. Oh my days. But
Oh,
anyway, yes.
sorry.
Hello, everyone.
No
Don't
matter.
pay attention, don't
Good
worry.
evening. Good night. Thank you for joining us. If it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. It's gonna be a hot one tonight. A short and sweet one, but definitely a hot one for a part one. So we hope you enjoy. We hope you could, give us your thoughts in the comments, because we've got quite a bit to unpack. So I'm looking forward to tonight, and thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, definitely. Thank you to all of our faithful followers who are tuned in. And I know for a fact that we have viewers tuned in from Trinidad and Tobago. We have viewers tuned in from the UK as well as from the US. So drop us a line, tell us where you're from. Hi to everybody. I can see people saying hi in the chat already. So hi to Marian. Hi to I can't see that other person's name. But thank you to all of you, Marian and what was that? GQ Haven. Good night, good night, good night. Welcome, 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 and thank you so much for joining us. Right, okay, let me jump into the thing because we don't have no time to waste. So the biggest thing, the hot topic in Trinidad right now, Trinidad Carnival is hotting up. And for those of you who know about Trinidad Carnival, the Mecca, the mother of all carnivals, we likely Soca. Trinidad and Tobago, the home of soca. And anybody who follows Trinidad Carnival and follows the fete scene, hi Damien, anybody who follows the fete scene and anything that's happening in Trinidad know that there is a certain show, a certain production, a certain competition called International Soca Monarch that is a staple on the soca and on the fete and on the cultural calendar in Trinidad and Tobago. Soca Monarch has been going on from since I think it was the early 90s or was it late 80s, early 90s?
1994.
94,
1993, 1994.
94, early 90s, yeah. It
I
started
was
off as
thinking
Soca
92
Monarch.
actually. But yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I know it was early 90s. It started off as Soca Monarch, which was a local competition for soca artists, and then it branched out and became bigger because there were other artists from the other islands coming with really good soca, and they then had an international element to it so that we could have artists from all over the Caribbean and, further afield competing. So Soca Monarch has been going on for a long time, and it's always been held on Carnival Friday, which has been renamed and dubbed Fantastic Friday because we had some fantastic artists coming out of Soca Monarch, right? So everybody know that Soca Monarch is something that is like a staple then. It is like that's a given. That's happening. And every year without fail, we've had Soca Monarch, obviously not during the pandemic because of obvious reasons. And everybody, a lot of people were looking forward to the return because, of course, this year is the mother of all carnivals. So we were looking forward to the return of our beloved Soca Monarch, right? Now, what's happened is that sadly, Soca Monarch was cancelled. But where the controversy is, and which we're going to try and unpack tonight, and let me just say, we'll be doing a lot of speculation, unless anybody have insider info. But we have a show called The One Show by our biggest soca artist, by our cultural ambassador, by our Michael Jackson of soca, that all of us, most of us I think all of us probably grew up with and watched him and been with him on his journey from since childhood to adulthood. I'm talking about none other than himself, Mr. Marshall Montano. I'm a big fan. Let me just say that now. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Marshall. I'm a fan of Soca. I'm a fan of Soca Monarch. What happened is that the one show which has evolved. So anybody that follows his career know that he started off with something that's called the alternative concept. So he has his concert. He was the first artist, I believe, to actually have his own concert. Now, a lot of soca artists doing it. Everybody had a day, but Marshall was the first. And he had the alternative concept that then morphed into Marshall Monday, which was then held on Carnival Monday. And Marshall Monday is what we've known for quite some time, right? And that was always his day. And then this year, he decided to have his concert, renamed it The One Show, on Carnival Friday, which everyone knows is Soca Monarch Fantastic Friday. So of course, people were, up in arms and thinking what's going on. And then subsequently to that, it was announced that Soca Monarch was cancelled. So obviously everybody putting two and two together thinking, well, what's going on here? So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I hope that I set the context and the scene, because there are bigger ramifications for this. It's not just about two events, probably one canceling out the other, but what does this actually mean for soca music? And it begs the question, is there a soca mafia? So we have some questions we want to tease out tonight, right? We really want to tease it out tonight. So the first thing I want to do is just get the initial reaction of my panel, right? I'm going to come around to everyone and I just want to get your initial reaction. First of all, when you heard that the One Show was going to happen on Fantastic Friday, and then also when you heard the news that Fantastic Friday is no longer Fantastic Friday because Soca Monarch ISM has been cancelled. So because it's the birthday boy, I'm going to start with the birthday boy first. So I'm going to ask the birthday boy for his opinion on those two questions.
Hey, ha. So, my initial reaction to that is, what are you doing? Why are you treating people so? What is wrong with people that they could just take away something that me as a younger person wanted to be a soca artist and aspire to international soca monarch, and then all of a sudden they decide to close the doors on soca monarch. When I saw Marshall put up his pet, as soon as I saw it, I said to a few people on this panel, and I said to quite a few members, friends of mine, I said, no soca monarch this year. Soca monarch totally mash up now. And I mean, totally mash up. There is no way that right now they can create something that is going to represent International Soca Monarch in a short space of time, because it should have started all the way back in November and there was nothing about it at all. So my initial reaction to Marshall, when I decided to put on the concert, I was thinking about the soil and the earth, and I was thinking about how it is we could try and bring everybody together from around the world and show everybody what the Mecca is like. That's what it is I wanted. That is how it is I felt about it. But that is foolishness, because International Soca Monarch would link so many artists who have been working so hard even through the pandemic, right, to make a name for themselves, knowing that the biggest carnival on earth is Trinidad and Tobago Carnival, and they would be able to claim a part of that stage in some small capacity, because just being in the atmosphere helps them grow as artists in their own right. That is what I will say for now. Because anything more? And I'm sorry, let me give you some brand new information, right? Brand new information that Chutney Soca Monarch is going to be moving to the same at the Fantastic Friday, and it's free. I will leave that right there for you. I will leave that right there for you. Chutney.
I saw that actually. Yeah, I saw that.
So they're moving it to Fantastic Friday and it's free. Well, that just opened another
Oh,
can
come
of
on, huh?
worms.
It's moving to fantastic.
Just open another can of worms day.
Listen, Trinidad Carnival can't be Carnival without back.
Hey, I'm telling you, every carnival is a bacchanal, Every
Every
carnival is
Carnival.
a bacchanal. Well, Birthday boy, thank you for your contribution and your initial reaction. Don't go nowhere yet because I'm still coming back for some more pepper sauce from you. You understand? But I just want to get initial reactions from our special guest, Golden Child. What's your initial reaction?
Boy, I think that Marshall trying to save Fantastic Friday. Because the last Soca Monarch I went to, you could have a football match in that crowd.
Mm-hmm. What
I
year was
think,
that? What year was that?
boy, that the last one it had. Just when the pandemic was happening.
That's when Ding Dong did comedy top 5?
But I went college boy Jesse win.
Okay.
And that place was all backstage. You could have played football. It didn't have nobody in there. And after Soca Monarch, it didn't really have nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it come like I think since Soca Monarch turned to international Soca Monarch, that was the downfall of that.
Mm.
Because Soca Monarch, when it was just for Trinidad alone, and the other artists and then used to come as guests, was better. Because it was giving the artists and them in Trinidad a platform to showcase the talent and just be okay. This is a local thing. I think Trinidad should have a Soca Monarch, and then all the other islands should put up and keep an international Soca Monarch.
Mm.
And that will be fair to the artists and then in Trinidad to get a fair chance.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So when they bring it to the international, because even when before it was international, we used to have special guests like Shaggy, Bounty, different artists coming from the Caribbean coming and making it a proper show when it was just the local that competing for the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Because I ain't seeing no other island saying, okay, we have 2 million here, 3 million here, 4 million here to put up to keep something international.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
So
one island putting up to keep something international. That'll make no sense.
So just unpicking a little bit what you say, your first statement that you think that Marshall actually saving Fantastic Friday.
Yeah, because
yeah, go ahead.
if they leave it up to Soca Monarch to save Fantastic Friday, that would be a boring day.
Right. Yeah. So in
But
terms
the last one I went, boy, that wasn't making no sense. We ended up keeping our backyard lime after that.
Oh shucks.
And
But let's have so much fete happening on that Friday afterwards that you could go to. But I just want to come back to that. So we think about, and this is something that we are going to delve in a bit deeper when we do have the full show, because there's so many aspects and levels on what you just said, Golden, in terms of the organizers organizing Fantastic Friday ISM, the international element to it, and then having that what was the word? That ability to benchmark, because Soca Monarch could benchmark against itself, because it could benchmark when it was local and it was just Soca Monarch, and then benchmark after it became ISM. And you could compare and contrast from all different angles, from an artist perspective, from a promoter's perspective, from a cultural perspective, what the pros and cons of that would have been. So we're definitely going to come back to that, but I just want to move to the right of my screen and get Miss Ponderoad's initial reaction when she heard the news.
To be totally honest, when I heard Marshall's doing his Fantastic Friday, I did roll my eyes because I didn't really understand why he stopped Marshall Monday now just to do it on Fantastic Friday. Not really paying attention that Soca Monarch was not actually going to take place until they announced it. So for me, in the UK, always looking to the Caribbean and Trinidad being at the home of Soca, it's like a big shock. Like, why take that away? Like, we consider Trinidad to be the Mecca, the home, the motherland of Soca and Calypso. And it's like you're taking that tradition away. And for me, it's like part of my childhood is also gone as well, because my granddad, he's part Trinidadian. He always used to tune into Soca Monarch and talk to his brothers back home in Trinidad and to find out what's going on. And they would talk and laugh and say, "This one good, look at him. I know he mother, and I know he father," and all sorts of things. So it just, for me, it's like a big chunk of my life and my childhood and learning about soca and its history and its origins and its roots. It's just disappeared. There's people that you see that come on that stage and they make their mark on that stage, and it takes them time to build up to become bigger artists. I just keep seeing the same artists, the same music playing on rotation, and taking away Soca Monarch is a platform for new aspiring artists coming up. So how do they get their music played? How do they get seen? Because I don't think the radios push them, and Soca Monarch was their platform, you know? So from that point of view, I feel very sad for the upcoming artists that that platform's been taken away from them.
Yeah. And just to add as well, I know definitely on one radio station, which is Vibe City 105 FM, they used to have a sponsored hour for Soca Monarch. So the artists that would have made it to the semis and to the finals, they used to have a sponsored hour where they would just play those artists' music as well. So definitely in terms of having, that platform, as you say, and that exposure, again, that's another facet of this production that obviously is no longer happening. Coming to the next side of my screen is being Lisa Love. Lisa, give us your initial reaction.
My initial reaction was like, "You're wrong, Marshall. You're wrong. You should not do that. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. He's my boy, but you're wrong."
Mm-hmm.
I still think it was wrong, but I think after the information came out that Soca Monarch cancelled, I feel that he would have had that inside information, so that is why he was able to go full speed ahead and do what he did. I kind of to a certain point agree with what Golden Child mentioned, because I wasn't on board when they changed Soca Monarch to International Soca Monarch, and I'm not a big Soca Monarch fan. I kind of just used to watch it, you know. I used to be in Over the Hill Boys on a Friday night, and then they used to announce when Iowa win and when everybody win, and that person used to come to the party and sing the song when they win with. But for I feel like I understand the inclusion, but I feel like that whole International Soca Monarch thing is what changed the dynamics of Soca Monarch. And I know that other artists from islands and wherever had good songs as well, but I feel like we could have kept that as ours. Just like how we have Calypso, like when they have in Tent and stuff, or
Yes.
I feel like we could have kept that not international, because everything else that we do is international, because people there right through international. So we could have kept that competition for us as just Soca Monarch in Trinidad with Trinidad and Tobago artists, and just keep it like that. But yeah, business is business. Kind of piggybacking on what Marsha was saying too, I feel like more could have been done. I mean, I have a lot of past inside experience with the background of Soca Monarch. That it's not like it's if I want to share it or not, but it's like I know that there was a lot of what we just call home bubble.
Yeah.
With Soca Monarch, where it wasn't the people who were supposed to be getting profit off of it and making something out of it was not making. So I feel it, it was going on for a while, but I feel like other people could have jumped in and be ambassadors for it and keep it as it was going.
Yeah.
So let's hope it could come back. But yeah, my initial reaction was like, "Masha, you're wrong."
Yeah.
If I was home, I would have go Masha. I could tell you that for a charge. I wasn't going to come back. But
I could say something.
But yeah.
Can say something.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Marshall. When I say Marshall trying to say Fantastic Friday, right? It's because Marshall probably realized that Soca Monarch cannot say Fantastic Friday no more.
Mm-hmm.
So when he come and do this thing, it has something major that will happen on Fantastic Friday that people could come to look forward to. Because Soca Monarch was thinking sensible, they would have keep the thing local competition and hire Marshall to perform as a guest. And hire all the rest of artists around the Caribbean that win their Soca Monarch through the year as guests. So it'll be a big show. That's how it used to be a long time. That is why it was Fantastic Friday.
Yeah.
No, you know why it was Fantastic Friday? Because of Super Blue song.
Super Blue, yeah.
That is when they changed it to Fantastic
Right.
Friday. So it's Super
No,
Blue.
but it was a show. It
You
was a
understand?
show that would have seen everybody, apart from the
Yeah.
competitors. You understand?
But I
Yeah.
know people used to go Soca Monarch and fall asleep.
Yeah. You
Well, I
understand?
mean that no, and again, we will talk about that. Again, that is something that we have to pick up in the next episode because, as one artist said, Soca Monarch was on life support, ISM was on life support, and I certainly remember, 2016 and 2017 very vividly when Marshall actually came back into Soca Monarch and was competing in Soca Monarch. So it's quite ironic that the same competition that he was a competitor in, and even as a guest artist in other years, is the same competition that he would probably be in direct contact with, direct conflict with by throwing the one show on the same date. That's the irony of it. But in terms of what you were saying, Golden, in terms of him saving the actual Fantastic Friday itself by having a big event that people could look forward to, it begs the question, did he know about this? Did he have insider information and know about this for some time?
Well,
And hence
remember
the
this
reason why he did it?
over the years, you as the man in Marshall is the Michael Jackson of Soca.
Yes.
So you as the man seeing that Fantastic Friday dying, and Soca Monarch can't save it. You have to do something.
Yeah, but are we putting that pressure on somebody who probably does not want to do anything? Probably doesn't want that burden. Probably doesn't want to take up that torch.
Well, probably he does. I mean, one of the things I would like to know, and I don't know if I'll ever get this question answered, but was there any discussion between Marshall, the Monk Group, and Soca Monarch, the organizers of Soca Monarch? Because one would think that some sort of communication would have happened at some point in time, at least you would think that these things happen in good faith, that some sort of discussion would have happened. Because Soca Monarch, remember, ISM, the preparation for ISM starts months in advance. And the fact that they come now at the 99th hour and announce that it's cancelled when we didn't have no prelims, right? We didn't have no semis, and prelims would have happened. Yeah, exactly, because registration would have been open since last year, right? So registration would have been open last year. It would have closed around probably November, December time for you to send in your music, because you have to send your music in first, then they screen it and they choose who is going to come for the preliminaries, right? So if that didn't happen, then obviously red flags would have been, would have been showing that something ain't happening here. So I wonder whether there was a discussion, because I don't know if you guys remember when Fayan became the CEO for ISM. She only lasted 1 year. And
that was the last one.
Yes. Well, and again, we go talk about that in more detail as well, because you think to yourself, the people that run in Soca Monarch aren't artists, they're businessmen. And is there a disconnect then between the people who actually organize it, and should there be artists actually running the competition? So I'll stick a pin with that question and just come to our producer to get her initial reaction around the news of the cancellation of ISM and the one show happening.
Well, was I really surprised is the first question about ISM being cancelled. No, I wasn't surprised. And the reason being is just because there was just no build up to it like there normally is. So I thought it was a bit strange that, we're not hearing about Soca Monarch. We're not, nothing's been talked about in terms of the competition. So I did think to myself, the fact when they did make the announcement, it almost wasn't shocking. It wasn't, I mean, it was shocking, but it wasn't a surprise. Now, when I heard about Marshall's show initially, because obviously that news came out before the cancellation, I thought to myself, that is such a effery move, if I'm completely honest. Because I'm kind of like thinking to myself, well, ain't that Fantastic Friday? Isn't that like what we should be gearing up for and getting excited about? Why is it that you've moved your concert that was normally on a Monday traditionally and for what, 10 years, a whole decade? Why are you now going to move it to a Friday? Fantastic Friday should always be for Soca Monarch. So I did think it was a bit selfish. I know that in the comments on the blogs and stuff, a lot of people are saying, well, he's a businessman and, he knew that Soca Monarch was going to be cancelled. So that's why he did what he did. But my thing is, you are the ambassador of Soca. Like, you're the king of Soca. Rather than have a whole concert on Fantastic Friday, why not join up with Soca Monarch, try and work with them, International Soca Monarch, and, help, one, the industry, and two, help build, help set the platform for the up and coming artists that are coming through. Now, to me, that would be the more selfless thing to do, because now you're giving back to not only your community, you're giving back to the culture, but you're also giving an opportunity to those who are up and coming. So to me, my thing would be still do your thing, still be that businessman, but join up with Soca Monarch, work together with them, and bring a great show, bring a spectacular show, bring something that they've never seen and had before. At the end of the day, like I said, you are the ambassador of Soca. So to me, it's a no-brainer. You still can make your coin and you're still giving back to the community. Well, to the culture.
To the culture, yes. Karen, is that your hand that was up, Super Trini? Was your hand up? No, I think it was.
I can say something. Something. I see everybody blaming Marshall, right? But listen to this.
No.
Hold on. Everybody blaming Marshall and saying Marshall keep a show on Soca Monarch, right? Majority of people. I wonder if is Marshall alone going to be performing in his concert. All the major artists in Trinidad and Tobago going and be performing in Marshall concert. You know why? Because they're getting paid. Right? If all of them was to say, hey, Marshall, you can't do this, you go in Soca Monarch and sing. You think Marshall concert would have full still? Marshall alone can't keep a concert to Marshall Soca Monarch.
Yeah, but the thing with Soca Monarch, right? What I remember is they used to get very, excuse my French, arsy about artists having to leave to go and perform elsewhere.
Yes,
I think the contract was they could not perform nowhere on the night.
That's right.
And that became a problem because what they were saying is, as artists, they have to make their money. So they could compete, but they still have to make their money. So they would have go Marshall and go 2-3 other things in the night anyway. You understand? So
another thing, you can remember at any point in time when Soca Monarch turned to international, if it was better than when it was local.
Repeat that?
Yes.
At any point in time when Soca Monarch turned international, if it was a better show than when it was local Soca Monarch.
Yes, I remember. That's when Mr. Killer won.
It was done international already.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So that international, that competition when Mr. Killer won was actually on par. I don't want to say better, but it was certainly on par.
I don't think not. You see, long time when Bungie used to do all the fireman thing and Super Blue and Iowa and them, and they had Beanie Man as
And
guests
Gary
and them
said
thing.
then,
It
Yeah,
wasn't
but
international yet.
that year would pick up something. I mean, that year Soca Monarch,
because of his
ISM,
song, though.
ISM was
No,
on fire that year.
the,
Super
the,
G,
the
I
crowd the,
come to
the
say
crowd wasn't
something.
there like how it used to be long time.
What he
No,
doing?
hey, I is a veteran too, you know. I stand up in
Yeah,
Soca Monarch crowd for years, you know. You
right.
understand?
So you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
I know what you're talking about. But the vibe that it had that year when Killer won, remind me very much. It remind me very much of when Bungie first come out on the scene. You know which year stand out in my mind? You see when Bungie sing, I'm the fireman, fire the
Right.
Boy,
That-
that year so
That's
come
what he
on.
now say.
Watch now, Jesus Christ. I tell you, I was in the crowd, and it's one of the Soca Monarch I will never forget.
it
Because
wasn't international yet.
the people, the next one that stick out in my mind is 1996 when Marshall did Big Truck.
You
Never,
see?
I'll never forget that Soca Monarch.
That year I was still living in the York. I cry. I wanted to come home back.
Never,
It wasn't
never forget
international yet.
that. Never forget the year when Ronnie McIntosh win and everybody rain bottle on the car. I'll never forget that year. And then the year when Mr. Killer win. You know, it have poignant moments in Soca Monarch that is one for the record, one for the history books. But what I want to just pick up on is something that you mentioned and something that Lisa mentioned as well. And the question is this, you know, if it is that Marshall was gonna knew that he was gonna do his show, and we don't know whether conversations were had or not. But if it's one thing that I know from observing Marshall, that man is a perfectionist. When you see he performs and when he has to perform, he is a perfectionist. And I would not be surprised if he would have thought about, collaborating with the ISM promoters, or conversations would have happened. But let me tell you something, if they were not able to match his standard, because when you look at the production that goes into Alternative Concept Marshall Monday and now the one show, because you look at the one show that happened in New York and the level of production that went into that. If ISM cannot match that, there is no way he is going to join up with that and do something, because that man does not do mediocre. He
Listen,
does
yeah.
not do mediocre at all. So it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me, because I just think back to the year
Hello?
when Fiona was the CEO and how she was trying. And I could see the frustration, because sometimes, we looking on the outside and we don't know the nitty gritty and the ins and outs about the boots on the ground, especially when it comes to the organization of a mega, mega event like that. Go on.
Over the
Yes, but
years, right? That Soca Monarch been happening since Marshall was a boy. Yeah? So
mhm.
them supposed to have the know-how and the funding and everything in place that Marshall could have never taught them, because that was a staple in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mhm.
Understand? So the whole management and everybody is to be blamed for that. Them can't blame Marshall, because Marshall not putting no gun by nobody had to buy no ticket. People going where they getting value for the money.
Well, stick up in there. One of the things is, with that pin, the management of ISM has changed, because, of course, it was the brainchild and the baby of William Monroe for years, and he was running it. And he came out and said he was running it on a shoestring budget. So if you're looking to blame the management, then surely that historical and that organizational knowledge of running that event changed, because the owner, the management of it changed. That's one thing. The second thing is, does the government of Trinidad and Tobago see the value in soca? Because when you look at
Listen,
Jamaica, for example, and how Jamaica invests in reggae music, do we see that same level of investment in soca music in Trinidad? And is it the place, I know I comment to you, is it the place of the government to be subsidizing cultural events? Because the government has said time and time again, Soca Monarch needs to be able to be independent and attract sponsorship and not rely 100% on the government. So it brings the question in there, should the government be invested in the culture in that way? And of course, because the government does invest in the culture, especially around carnival time, because remember, they send in money to all the different regional corporations for Calypso competition. They send in money to all the different organizations that deal with the traditional mass and all of that, because all of them have to get paid, and other little competitions that happening, right? So should the government, Lisa, you're waving. Oh, you're leaving.
No, Trini say he leaving.
Oh,
He say you have to go.
you know how much time you waving, and I ask you if there's anything you want to say, but you were so busy getting your hug
But
up.
busy talking to
You were
people.
so busy getting your hug up that
Hug
you
up and love
wasn't
up
paying
and all kind of thing.
attention.
I don't take this kind of abuse. Or they could let me know with all of that.
Female aggression.
All
I
right,
told
the aggression. Or they see where I am. Or they feel all the aggressive nature is going to bother me to this evening. It can't bother me. You
Masha,
understand?
yeah.
You see my
Don't worry,
chest?
you have to come
You see my
back.
chest? You
Don't
see my
worry.
chest?
You have to
so
come back.
wait,
You
wait, just because you get a little hug up, you're feeling
Yeah.
super. You
Watch me.
understand?
You feel like right there?
Masha,
Watch me.
him.
I get road drama, road drama, road drama,
You have
road
to come back.
drama, road drama, road drama,
I'm
road
watching you.
drama, road drama. Thank you again.
Hearing goodbye.
That daddy body wine.
Yeah.
Right. Can I just say my final piece and then I'm going, okay?
Yes.
To everyone that joined on the live, I say thank you for being here. From my perspective on the ground, people have their own understanding of what the culture is and how it should be represented. But the thing that everybody doing is just talking. There's nobody actioning anything. They're just talking and complaining. They're singing just like the Caribbean because we are Caribbean and that's what it is we love to do. Talk and complain and don't action anything. You know? So for me personally, I saw it as Marshall missed an incredible opportunity to bring a different atmosphere to international Soca Monarch because he's already introducing international acts onto his show where it is he could have created international Soca Monarch. He would have gotten it sponsored easily because his name is Marshall Montano, right? And the prize money and all that kind of stuff would have been secondary because the most important, the greatest value we have as a community is our culture. Not money, but our culture, who we are and how we represent ourselves to the rest of the world. And we are literally going to lose a big piece of that tradition come Fantastic Friday. And it hurts my heart. But with everything there is change. So let's hope that everyone within the talk society, all those who like to talk, you know, can recognize the error of not having an international Soca Monarch and fix the things. That is my 2 cents. Fix it up. You know, like you see in the market and the grocery, you understand what I'm saying? We could drop some KMC in that. Boom. Everything raising. So if it is you can change it, fix it. Fix the thing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, you saying fix the thing is easier said than done. Fixing it is easier said than done.
Fix the thing. Fix it. Fix the thing. Fix it. All right. I'm done. Everybody, Super 25 is out. And I'll be back again for the next episode next week, all right? Or week
Yes, sir.
after. Yeah,
No,
week after.
it's after Carnival. We're doing the
Yeah,
next
after
episode.
Carnival. Yeah, no, that's what it is. I feel. Just take your time, man. Take your time, man. Watch me. Don't make me get my deep voice here. Don't make me bring up my deep voice here and tell you take your time. Everybody, good night.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye, Alia. Bye-bye.
Yes, good night, Super Trini.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing about it is that, again, and we are going to delve in this more people. You know, we had to really unpick this thing. Is it detrimental to the genre as a whole? This whole thing that happened, you know, is it going to hurt soca music? Because we have some artists, who deeply affected by it. Do we think it's going to hurt soca music?
Not soca music as a whole, but I feel like it was a platform where you could have started, if that makes sense. Like you could have come up and, you know, Even though nobody really know this song, people still used to be in the front waving two little rag, and you get a little exposure to a big stage and that kind of feeling, and those ones who kind of like coming up. That's you start somewhere, but I think it will be missed. That's almost like taking away Panorama.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is, and all right.
That'll be a travesty. Exactly.
Listen.
Similar thing.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. I mean, I'm not home, so I don't know what people are saying and feeling, but that's how it feels being here.
It feels like a loss, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And like I say, I'm not a big Soca Monarch fan. However, it was a staple.
Yeah.
It's almost like how Brass was to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go to Brass.
Me too.
So that was the place to be.
Yeah.
I had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And then because they wouldn't let Marsha perform and do whatever he wanted to do, he decided to have his own thing. So
That's
once again,
yeah,
that's probably how he operates. I mean, he's a businessman, he's a money man, he knows what he's doing, he has the backing, and he will go for it wherever he feel like he needs to go for it.
Yeah. But it just makes you wonder as well if he was pissed off. Because I remember the last year that he performed in Brass, when he said to the audience that's his last time in Brass. Yeah. He's not performing. And we could see that he was vexed. He was blue vexed. And I remember me and my sister, we turned to each other and say, well, days we last Brass. Because Ecstatic was one of the bands that we used to go and see, because remember, Brass used to have all the bands, Traffic, Ecstatic.
And then you know how you're moving like this, huh?
Yes. And then I remember when they started bringing the other bands from the island, so Burning Flames and Mingo, and they had a Guyanese band as well. And, so but Ecstatic used to be one of the main draws because of Marshall. So when Marshall said, Days It, all the fans of them said, well, Days It, because believe you me, that was my last year at Brass. The next year I was at AC1, Alternative Concept. So you cannot, and this is my thing. My little 2 cents on it is the fact that I am a fan of Marshall and I'm a fan of soca music. And I felt when I heard the news that I had to choose. And I didn't want to choose because I go to Soca Monarch and I go to Marshall show because it happened on different days. So at least I know, okay, I could go to the two. Now you have it. The first thing I heard was like, okay, but this is a clash. So now I had to choose between the two. For me, for Brass, it was an easy decision. I chose Marshall, because I was like, nah. But this Soca Monarch, I saw it so much more than just an event. I saw it as, something that's actually doing something for artists. And we will talk about all the corruption that happens in Soca Monarch. Believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about that in the next show because it has corruption in it. Let me don't try and gloss over the thing. It have corruption, right? But I didn't want to have to choose. I didn't want it to be either or. Yeah. I would have preferred if I could have enjoyed the two. Golden, I see you dying to come in. Say something.
Well, I want to ask you, right? Anybody think that International Soca Monarch is fair to Trinidadian artists? They're making a big mistake.
Is it fair to any artist? Because on the flip side of that, a lot of the other islanders think that they will always, Trini will always win. Because don't forget, remember after Mr. Killer won with his monster hits, right? Nobody in the right man could say he didn't deserve to win.
Listen, right? How much islands?
The amount of thing that was, even Biggie Irie didn't win groovy. People were saying, how come our Bajan could come and win Soca Monarch in Trinidad?
My take, right? Where's my take? Every island have a Soca Monarch, ain't?
True, that is true.
Right? Yeah. For them to compete in.
Yes.
Yeah. There is plenty amateur artists in Trinidad. Remember, Soca Monarch, mind you, is a competition that you have to pay to enter as an artist. It's not free to enter. First to begin, I don't think the government should be subsidizing our international act because they ain't bringing nothing to the country. That bad for economy to start with. No other island are doing that mad thing. That madness. Right? So if a man come to Trinidad and win 2 million, like 2 million leaving your country and going somewhere else, tax free because it's a prize. Economically, that bad for any country. Right? Every island have a Soca Monarch. So our international soca monarch should be a winner from all them islands performing on one stage. If they decide to host it in Trinidad, all the islands should put up and host it in Trinidad, right? But for a local Trinidadian artist going to compete with a Mr. Killer, a Problem Child, a Skinny, and them thing, that's real unfair. He could never win. And it's in he country keeping. And he cannot go into no other island and enter none of them soca monarch. The only place that he could enter to showcase his craft is on an international soca monarch stage, which is in Trinidad and Tobago. But it doesn't have a local soca monarch.
Yeah.
So that means you not doing nothing for that soca culture in Trinidad and Tobago, really. Them stand the least chance. Because it's international, big giants to competing with.
Do we feel like Soca Monarch evolved or did it stay stagnant?
I think it evolved. I think there was a period where it evolved. And then there was a period where it went flat. And when it went flat,
You're talking about two different things.
No, I know. Well, just to pick up on your point, Golden, I agree. Because other islands do have a local soca monarch. And that was the first thing that a lot of people said when SM went to ISM. That it should be two separate events. That Trinidad should have a local SM and that there should be an ISM that any country that wants to participate in, just like how you had the Eurovision, you have a ISM. And each country, each government put up towards it and they send the best parties. And that's worldwide, because then remember, I can tell you a fact in the UK, one of the things that we were doing, and certainly when I was the chair of the ABC, the Association for British Calypsonians, I was having talks with Rolf Warner, rest in peace, about the winner from the UK competed in Trinidad in ISM. That's something that we've been working on for a long time, and I know definitely that the EU Soca Monarch as well is in talks with Trinidad, or has been in talks with Trinidad at ISM, so that the EU Soca Monarch could compete at ISM as well. So it's not just regionally for other artists in the Caribbean, but certainly further afield, because we've had competitors from Japan, from the UK, from America, performing and competing in ISM. So I definitely think that they should revisit that, and that there should be two separate shows. There should be a local one for local artists and an international one. But just coming back to Lisa's point about, is it really hurting it? We have to ask that question. And I just want to pick up some comments quickly. We have some comments saying, Trini Shevu saying, can't understand why some people blame Marshall for killing Soca. They brought him back to save Soca Monarch, but to me, the promoters are to blame. They haven't done enough to elevate the show. We have the film journalist saying Caribbean Eurovision. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have the Caribbean version of Eurovision. Well, I mean, the thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I did say this show was going to be short and sweet because we want to whet your appetite. We will be picking up this discussion, believe you me, because this is just the preamble. I will be there in Trinidad. I will be front and center at the one show as well. And I'm hoping that I can bring some capsule reports on players, our Carnival players. So they could see the bacchanal firsthand. I can't guarantee that I will keep my hand still with my camera when Wizkid come out on stage, because I love Wizkid.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
But I will definitely try and give you guys at least a bird's eye view from what I could see, because then we have to unpack this. We have the before and we have the aftermath. After all is said and done, after the day happened, after people perform, after all the euphoria is finished, then what?
And the dust settles.
Exactly. Yeah. Then what? And this is where the meat of this conversation is going to happen. So I want to thank all of you, everybody that tuned in. I hope that you guys will continue to tune in to Slayer's Hot Sauce. I'm going to ask all my panelists for their final comments before we close off the show. And I will start with Nai.
Well, It was actually to play the clip that you asked me to add to the show.
Oh yes, yes. Well, what we'll do, don't play yet. Let's get everybody's comment first. Then we'll play that and leave everybody on a cliffhanger. So
Right. Okay. Well, from my perspective, just to sort of conclude my final thoughts. Going back to what Golden was saying about it being international Soca Monarch and it's not being fair to the Trinis. But one of the things that I remember a few people used to say from other islands is that, well, actually, what would really be the point from their perspective of entering? Why do artists from other islands enter into international? Why do they bother entering into international Soca Monarch when it's in Trinidad? It's bound to be a Trini that's going to win. It's always a guarantee that a Trinidadian is going to win the competition. And I've always said to myself, why do they even bother calling it International Soca Monarch? So I think it was an excellent point. It definitely should be separate. It needs to be fair to the Trinis, and it also needs to be fair to the other artists. If it's an international competition, let it be that. And yeah, like someone said earlier about it being a Caribbean Eurovision. Is that what they said? Call it Caribbean Vision. I like the idea of that. Definitely.
Carry vision.
Carry vision. It makes sense.
we used to have that. We used to have that. We used to have a Caribbean Eurovision Song Contest. It wasn't called that. I can't remember what it was called. Alison Hines came up through the ranks in that competing. I don't know if you guys remember Alison Hines, but Alison Hines used to sing some wicked R&B. I can't remember the name of the competition. I even had entered to compete in that competition and had auditioned to compete in it. So we used to have it. I will remember it for the next show. I definitely will remember it for the next show. Lisa, your last words.
It's sad, but I think as well change is inevitable. I think sometimes we hold people in high esteem on pedestals, especially public, people in the public eye who are doing the do and talking the talk and walking the walk. We have great expectations of them, and I think sometimes they probably don't even want those expectations, but on the other hand, you just don't know what he did in the background to try to help. We don't know if he did anything, or if it's just a selfish act. I hope it's not, but it's sad. I hope it comes back. I hope it does come back. But yeah, it's a sad one. I think it's sad. But yeah, it's one of them ones there. But yeah, that's my kind of like take on it.
Mm-hmm. Miss Pondy Road, your last words.
Yes. Look, I don't know if it is Marcel's responsibility to save Soca Monarch. However, I do think he was the best fit to bring Soca Monarch back into the public domain and make it into something, bigger and better than what it was. Yes, he is all, going, his production, his performances, they are amazing. And if anyone could have put a bit of oomph into Soca Monarch, it would have been him. And I just feel he missed an opportunity to do more than just make money. He could have bring back to the culture. He would have made himself, he would have been a legend. If he had around, he would have made himself bigger than he is even now. And I just missed an opportunity there to be even greater than he is. So,
Yeah, that is a poignant point that you made there. Poignant. And our last words from Golden Child.
Mm-hmm.
Last words.
Yeah. Well, my opinion is I do see international Soca Monarch as no culture at Trinidad and Tobago. Sorry. I think Trinidad and Tobago need their own Soca Monarch. And that what Marshall doing there is a Trinidad and Tobago show where he bringing international act. And that is going to bring back Fantastic Friday as a hot night. Because it is nothing hot happening on Fantastic Friday night if they depend on the international Soca Monarch. Plenty of the artists and them pulling away from that international Soca Monarch competition because they ain't getting paid. You understand? And on a fantastic Friday, no international, no established artists don't want to come to a show that not paying them.
True.
So if Soca Monarch really wanted to save a thing, them should have just say this is a local show, but we hire an international act. The government might have subsidized it then because it would be bringing something back into the country.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So then they could have bring a Whiskey and Marshall and make Soca Monarch that international show that it was a long time. Even
So the question of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think Marshall missed opportunity. Marshall can make money.
No, not
Because
Marshall, but a missed opportunity all around. Because
look, you know the Calypso show down Skinner Park that they start about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and go whole night.
Yeah, Calypso Fiesta. That starts at midday.
Right. You remember at one time, Soca Monarch used to be something like that?
Yes.
It used to start early and all the competitors used to come before and then the big artists in later in the night.
Yeah.
And it used to be ram whole day. That used to bring back something to the country. A country not supposed to put out money that they're not making back. It will lead to poverty if they continue doing that.
No, very good point. Very good point. Very good point. And I just want to big up everyone that's participated in the comments. I want to say good night to Zion Music. You were supposed to be on the panel.
I seen him pop up and I was like, but wait, why supposed to be on the panel?
He was supposed to be on the panel, but yes, we will be in Trinidad together and we are going to be definitely bringing you all the action. I want to say goodnight to everybody else that participated, the pinup journalists, Kezzy Rose, Trini Shevu, Chiku Haven, and others who don't have an account, but I definitely know you are logged in. I know you're logged in. I know you're listening. And thank you for joining us. Next time, create a YouTube account so at least you can put your 2 cents in the comments and we know that you're there. But definitely from myself, I am so happy to be back once again. Please follow Carnival Slayers on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, and follow all of our panelists. Tonight we have Golden Child, which is at Golando Official on Instagram, being Lisa Love on Instagram. Golando Official. On the Road is on Instagram, and of course you've got my on there, Giselle One Giselle Casa. Follow me on Instagram as well and other platforms. So I want to say thank you very much. It has been short and sweet. And again, happy birthday to the birthday boy who's sunning himself and whining down himself in Trinidad.
Right.
We're gonna end
with exclusive for location, girl. We're
going to end with this clip, which obviously will set the tone for part 2 of Slayer. So please enjoy.
It shall indeed. It shall indeed.
Good night from all of us.
Good night, everybody.
Clip.
Yes, it's coming just now. Bye, everybody, and good night.
I want to have an event on Friday.
Marshall, you know you don't need our permission to throw an event, right?
Just Carnival Friday.
What do you mean by that?
I want to have an event on Fantastic Friday.
So why retire Marshall Monday then? If you could just...
So I can have it on a Friday.
Okay. But you know that's the same day as Soca Monarch, right? We can't just...
Double M.
Oh, okay, double M. But you know, like, what about the artists and thing, the prize money? Is it kind of weird to kind of...
Double M.
Okay, next double M. Well, you know this been going on for years, so it kind of short notice to just tell people that...
Double M.
Okay. I think I understand. I understand now. So sorry. I completely understand, Marshall. So Friday.
All right. Good talking.
Our next double M will kill me. Our next double M.
Actually, gulp in the throat.
Listen, it's the best thing I see on this topic.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's fantastic. That was fantastic.
Definitely. everyone. Thank you for joining us. We love you. And we hope that you will tune in again. Tell a friend to tell a friend next time, eh? And when they see we put it out, or let's set all your timer because it is Carnival Slayers and
It could be
Players
hotter.
Hot Sauce. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Bye.